Hey there, friends. This is your training for the Let's Get Down to the Business of Writing checklist bundle. And I also, at one point, was going to name this Before You Hire an Accountability Coach. Do this instead. Okay. And it's really to get this bundle and to get your just your mindset and your mind and all these things, the foundation built. And a lot of times when you have done these things, you'll find you have more clarity and you are really ready to get down to the business of writing and getting your words written and getting your books finished. So, the first thing that I have for you are two different checklists. And the first checklist is titled The Core 12 Things for a Strong Foundation. So, this is a good checklist to use when you're ready to blow the dust off the keyboard or pick yourself back up because life got a little crazy and you kind of got off track, or you're just needing a mental refresh and it's time to get your mindset and get everything back on track to get down to the business of writing. And so I'm going to go through these just real quickly just to let you know why I have these particular things on the checklist. So first of all, setting your annual writing goals, and this is really just going back to um, without a map you don't know where you're going. um, I've learned to hold goals loosely, but it helps to have something written rather than just saying, I want to write all year. Having that particular project that you want to finish, or two or three different projects that you're going to work on, but putting a priority on different ones so that you know where your focus needs to be. Also, choosing a word or a theme for the year. I really find this helps keep me on track even in my writing life. Specifically, like this year, at the filming of this training, I have chosen the word flexibility. I am a big list builder, duh, as you can see with this list. I like lists. I like to keep everything orderly and nice, even though my desk does not reflect that thought right now. But my theme of the year is flexibility because there's a lot going on in my personal life that I am having to learn that with my schedule and with my writing, um, to be flexible. And I had to choose that theme of the year in my mind to remind myself that it's okay. I'm not following the same pattern of writing that I did 2 years ago. Create a daily writing habit of some type, okay? It may not be that you're writing on your particular project. It may be that it's journal writing. You may be writing out your prayers. You may be writing out an inspirational quote or two that um, encouraged you or inspired you. Uh, right now, I finally learned to embrace that I do. I was calling it sprint writing, but Jane Friedman calls it binge writing, to where the big core of my bulk writing is maybe done only on 2 days out of the week. But throughout the week, I'm still writing. I'm still doing something. I'm writing in my prayer journal. I'm writing something, right? I'm writing a letter to somebody. Visualize your writing success. Let's get on to, because I will never get through this quickly. Visualize your writing success. You might say, Kim, that sounds so woo woo, but you really do. You've got to have some of this. You close your eyes and you can see that you're actually really finishing this book. You're finishing this. You're visualizing. I mean, at one time when it was my first book, I took another book. I took a play sheet out of when I was a kid. I took another book and kind of made a fake cover, um, and put the title of my book on just a piece of paper and put it over. I made myself a mock book, is what I did, to visualize and visually see that I could do this, that I could finish it. It's really, especially as I learn more about the brain and how our brain works and how seeing things activates the brain cells. This is an important part of visualizing your writing success. Reflect on your past 12 months, your wins and your challenges. It is very, very important because writing is hard, right? Writing is hard, and it's important. And I have a mastermind mentor that has instilled in me the importance of reflecting every month what went right. And even when you don't think you were making progress, if you worked on it one day, then you made progress, because you made progress on that day that you would not have made otherwise. So it's kind of hard to catch up at the end of the year and try to cram it all in. So she really instills in me at the end of the month to look back and see what my wins were, and also see what my challenges were, what I overcame. You wrote despite crazy things going on in your life, right? You wrote despite that you had a sprained wrist. You wrote that you wrote and worked on your book even though, there was a power outage for, 4 or 5 days. Whatever. There are challenges that we do overcome and that you overcome, and acknowledge that. Affirm your identity as a writer. What is a writer? It is one who writes words. So as soon as you are writing your words, you are a writer. Okay. I have I've heard a lot of writers, a lot of authors say, "Well, I'm not really a writer." Well, why not? And they'll say, "Well, because I'm not published." Okay, well, that's different. Published author is different than a writer. Okay, acknowledge and affirm you are a writer, and if you are writing for others to read, you will become an author, and affirm that in your mind. Okay, that was all mindset issues, things that help your mind. Now we're going to talk about the actions, the things to do, your action plan. Draft a quarterly plan. I have another friend. She is the planner of all planners, and she instilled in me of, okay, let's plan ahead. Now, I get overwhelmed when I try to specifically, minutely plan a year in advance. I just have too many things going on. That stresses me out. But I can plan for 90 days loosely, right? I'm having to still remind myself loosely, but I can plan. I can say, okay, for these next 90 days, here is where I want my focus. Here's what's important to do. And actionable steps, okay? This is the other key thing that I've started doing, is really getting very specific with my list of the things that I need to do. And I'm very granular with that, okay? It means if I know I'm going to work on a book, I know how many chapters I want in that book. I know how many words I want in each chapter, and I will break it down. Not just work on, this particular book for 90 days, but I will specifically put out and make myself a plan. Now, again, holding the plan loosely, but I make myself a plan. I also organize my writing projects. This is another thing that I've really had to concentrate on. For me, that means making one focus. That so that when I sit down to write, all my energy is on one thing. I used to could manage 3 or 4 things at a time. But again, things have changed, and I really do better now to just keep it focused. And then update and create your writing routine. What works for your lifestyle? This is where it's really hard for me now, especially. I see people get lost in a trap, or caught in a trap, lost in a maze of reading behind a very successful author of what worked for them, of how they wrote 20 books in 2 years. And when they try to do things the way that author did, it doesn't work for them. And they'll think, well, what's wrong with me? How come I can't do what, author so and so did? Well, it's because you're two different people, right? You've got different things going on in your life. So you have to create a writing routine that works for you. Um, Engage with your readers. This says send a New Year's message to your list or post an update to your audience. Anytime when you are ready for others to read your words beyond your scope of your immediate friends and family. Okay, I'm gonna put a very specific. When you're ready for others to read your words, you will need to start thinking about having an email list. Okay, if your scope is for just your friends and your family and your immediate friends and everything, email lists really don't matter. Okay, but the classic example at the filming of this recording, there's a lot of authors that built a author fan base on a social media platform that was threatened to get closed down just in the past few days. In fact, it closed down, I think, for like 24 hours. And some of those authors relied so much on the social media platform, they had never invited readers to connect with them through an email list for special a special freebie or a special, something to entice them into that list. They literally could have lost all of their contacts, so to speak, by the closing down of that social media platform because they did not build their email list so that there was a way to still communicate to those readers if it wasn't via social media. So that's why having that email list and then engaging with your readers, right? Staying in their mind. You don't have to send an email every day, okay? You may not even have to send an email every week, but engaging with them in a time frame that feels comfortable for you and feels authentic for you is very important. Another thing to help with your actions is to join or reconnect with writing communities, and these can be live or these can be over the computer, over social media, but getting connected with other writers, because guess who understands your ups and downs of being a writer most? It's other writers. And that's how you get connected, to be accountable to each other or to learn about an accountability mentor, to get encouragement, to get maybe somebody's signed up for a learning opportunity or a workshop that they feel would be beneficial. You can swap ideas, you can swap knowledge. And then investing in your skills. Okay, and here's where the big dollar sign, the big gulp goes. But to grow as an author, yes, there is so much free stuff out there, okay? And investing doesn't mean investing dollars, but sometimes it may mean investing dollars, but it's also investing your time to become a better author, okay? There is some amount of growth that will come with just continuing to write and to bettering your skill as a writer. I think I was listening to an author. Oh, I can't remember her name now, but she writes inspirational, faith-based. Anyway, she was talking about how she picked up her first book that was published and was reading through it and was kind of cringing, because even though the publisher printed it and it was a good book, she has grown. She's been an author for 20 years. She has grown so much as an author and how she expresses herself and in her writing style, that to almost compare the books side by side, it didn't even feel like it was the same author, yet it was hers, and she was kind of cringing, but that was a good thing because she invested her time, she kept writing, she grew as an author. And so doing what you can to invest in your skills as a writer, okay, is very, very important. Now we're going to move to checklist number 2, which is admin stuff or business tasks for authors. There's a lot of things that goes into being an author that you don't really think about, but it's part of your authoring duties, and they can sneak up on you and take a lot of time sometimes, like updating your author bio, auditing your website, and making sure that all your buttons work and that your freebie offer uh, is actually working. You know, sign up, check it every once in a while, especially if it's been over 3 months, because things happen and things get wonky, okay? Set up to, or update your content calendar and things that you're putting out, either blog posts or your articles or your social media. Um, stay fresh, right? Organize your finances. That's something else that my mastermind mentor, you know, she's every month. It's like, you know, check your finances. You just don't want to, at the end of the year, have to sneak up and create all of these or create this orderliness of how much you've spent or things that you need to report for taxes. Speaking of reviewing your tax preparation, update your email list. Those of you that do have emails and have your email list, if you've got folks that are not opening your emails, believe it or not, in the craziness of how email systems work, that affects your it's called deliverability in the email world. And so if you had somebody that signed up for your freebie and you've been sending emails once a week for 6 months and they never opened another email, you can actually clean up your email list and remove them from your list, and that actually helps your emails not go into spam. Not it helps the deliverability so that your emails are actually seen in the email systems. It's crazy how that all works, but it does. Back up your files, use cloud storage. Nothing's worse to lose your document that you're currently working on and your computer crashes and you didn't have it stored anyplace else and you have to start from scratch. Nothing is worse. I know that feeling. I have had that experience once. Once that happened, I learned to embrace multiple copies of a document, okay? Plan book launches, plan any type of, launches, or just plan. Loosely plan, but plan. Create a timeline, create a strategy. Check your copyright and your ISBNs. And this is important if you have a lot of ISBNs. I just realized I had an ISBN that I had tagged for another book, and because I shelved that book in my mind, and that ISBN I had on a list that it was used, but it really wasn't used. I had not filled out everything. I had it on one list that was used. Anyway, that was money. That was practically money in the bank because I have an ISBN that I can actually really use when I go to my identifiers. And anyway, that was crazy. You just want to check all that stuff, okay? Audit your author platform. Review your social media, your Amazon author page for outdated content. This is real important because you may have had one author bio that really worked for the type of books that you were publishing 3 years ago. But now that you are maybe you've moved into other types of books, you need to freshen up your author bio so that it kind of is more relevant to the type of readers that you're bringing in now. And then review your publishing schedule, ensuring that all your timelines for writing and editing and publishing are actually feasible. right? You want to be authentic to yourself, to what you are able to put out now and to write now. All right, that's your first set of checklists. Oh no, I still have some more. I was going to say, okay. Evaluate your tools and subscriptions. Review the software and services that you use. Make sure that it's effective. Does it need to be replaced? Is it time to let it go and not pay for a subscription? Maybe it's, maybe you don't need that paid subscription to whatever anymore. Plan your marketing budget. When you hit that point that it is time for growth. Okay. I probably should, you're an author. It's time for growth. And everything that you've been doing, you're stagnant. You're not growing more. You've hit your plateau. It may be time that it's time to spend money for marketing, whether it's placing ads on Amazon, placing ads in Facebook, placing ads in there's other ways now that you can place ads. There's a different businesses that is their job, that they have these, that you can place an ad in their email list that goes out to 100,000 people, right? But it may be time to spend money, right, to market. So you want to be very aware of that, of where your money needs to be spent. Evaluate your contracts and your royalties, and see if there's anything that you need to improve, that especially when it comes to signing contracts and royalties. If you are going to boutique publish with somebody else, or if you're looking for traditional publishing, be plugged into places that can really explain to you about those contracts, and there's a whole lesson about contracts. Okay, when you are not self-publishing and somebody else is in charge of the publishing aspect, protect yourself ruthlessly. And then set up quarterly business reviews. Again, my mastermind coach has instilled this into my mind. This is very important. Especially when you are in the business of authoring, the business of writing, to review yourself every 3 months. Now we're at the end of those checklists, and this is your individual writing contract. This is something new that I've added into my life, and it's very good for yourself. But if you are going to have an accountability partner, to have an accountability contract with each other. And this is it kind of makes your promise to yourself of the work that you're going to do a little bit more official. And so I've got a very loose template where you can identify your goals and your monthly milestones, where you really get specific, okay? And your commitments to yourself that you're going to do. If any of that during this contract includes some publishing, and when you want to have the first draft finished and the editing done, any marketing goals that you have, and your accountability plan. So if you have an accountability partner with a fellow author, it's very important that you have a check-in with each other, but that you both honor each other's times, and you keep the check-in and the method, you keep it honed in. It can be a contact method of email, it can be a phone call, it can be Voxer, it can be whatever, but stick to it, stick to the plan, don't get off base, because the worst thing that can happen is you check in for accountability and y'all end up chit-chatting for 2 hours about all sorts of other stuff. And you want to keep accountability. Also, keep in with this contract any obstacles that you might have and your strategies that you have to overcome them. Pre-think this out, right? Have this already in your mind. If I feel like I have a lack of time, what's my strategy to overcome it? Okay, I may set the timer or set the alarm and get up 15 minutes early or 30 minutes early 2 times a week. If I'm starting to feel like I have a lack of time, or if just work through your problems, your strategy, your problem solving ahead of time. and have that written down. And then consequences for missing goals. Now, I had a business coach do this with a bunch of us years ago. And when we would choose our milestones and we would check in as a group, and if we did not meet our milestones, so number one, you started learning real quick how to set reasonable milestones. There's reasonable milestones and there's your stretch milestone. It's okay to have the stretch, but what is your reasonable? And we put money on the table. If we didn't reach a monthly milestone, we donated $5 to a charity. And we actually put money on the table. And I think that quarter, more of us met our milestones because we were putting money on the table. It's one thing to say, "Oh, okay, well, I won't you know, sit down and watch my favorite program for 3 weeks if I don't miss my milestone," versus I'm going to give $5 or $10 to this charity. And what was so funny that she had us do, we had to choose a charity that we didn't necessarily like. Okay? Think about it. If you don't meet a milestone but you're giving $5 to a charity that you already love and support, well then, okay, that's not such a big deal because you're still supporting somebody that you like. But she made us choose a charity that we didn't really like. It was a cause that really didn't resonate with us. That kind of is what lit the fire of, okay, I'm going to meet these milestones because I really don't want to give $5 to that charity. It's a weird way that our brain works, but I'm going to tell you, it worked. Okay? Then give yourself rewards for meeting goals. This is celebration. This was something that I had to learn a few years ago, is celebrating the milestones, and give yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to be anything monetary, y'all, okay? I'm not talking about going and buying something. What are special things that when you do it, you feel you get this, okay, give yourself an extra, okay? And then sign and commit to that contract. So this is your very quick go over of the Let's Get Down to the Business of Writing checklist bundle. And yes, like I said, I called this before you get an accountability coach, do this instead. These are all things that I do with people that hire me as their accountability mentor. But sometimes this is all you need to get yourself on track. And so I wanted to make this available to you. And with that, if you're not plugged in to anything else, be sure to visit Write More Right Now. Get plugged into us on the free Facebook group. Get plugged into the email lists, which if you have this, you're on the email list now, so I can talk to you if ever a social media platform closes down. Anyway, with that, just remember to write more right now, save what you write, and celebrate your writing wins.